These are 3 true stories so disturbing they will haunt you long after you finish watching. Real people, real places. Stay until the end to see the one that still remains unsolved. 3. Emily. In the fall of 2080, Emily Vesuvi applied for a babysitting job through her church. She needed money for college and a new car, and this family in Edwardsville, Illinois, seemed perfect. The husband and wife were doctors. Their home was beautiful, big, and fenced in, and they were going out of town for a gala and wanted someone responsible to watch their 2 kids, aged 6 and 8. Emily jumped at the job. She liked the kids instantly. The house, however, was creepy. Emily noticed dozens of security cameras everywhere, but she just turned them off and settled in for the night. At 10:30 p.m., Emily heard footsteps upstairs. The kids were asleep beside her on the couch in the living room, and she assumed it was the house settling. But then she heard a loud creak from the master bedroom, followed by silence. Feeling uneasy, Emily got up to check on the kids, but everything was fine. That's when she remembered seeing a second-floor laundry room on a security camera feed, and as she stood there, she heard the sound again, like someone walking back and forth. Emily hesitated. The screen was blank. Maybe it was a glitch, but then the front door opened and closed. She watched on the camera as a door shut and footsteps approached, heart pounding. She looked out the window to see a dark figure moving in the grass. She raced upstairs to check on the kids and hide. She ran to the master bedroom. Emily clicked the lock and barricaded the door with a dresser. Holding her breath, she listened as footsteps ran by, passing her door. Suddenly, the door burst open. Emily screamed and dove to the floor as a man ran into the room, ripping the phone and TV cables from the wall. He looked around frantically, ripped open the closet, then sprinted out the door. Emily quickly unlocked the door, racing downstairs to hide the kids in the guest room, grabbing a kitchen knife along the way. As she ran, she saw another man standing in the hallway, staring at her. He had a bulky build, dark clothing, and a black hoodie. Paralyzed with fear, she backed away, slowly, until he vanished down the hall. When the coast was clear, Emily hustled the kids into the guest room, locking them inside with instructions to stay quiet. She knew she wasn't safe, but she couldn't let anything happen to the kids. She peeked through the window and saw the dark SUV she'd seen earlier. Her heart skipped a beat. This was serious. Was this why the cameras were everywhere? Was she in danger, too? Grabbing her phone, she dialed 911, then crept to the back door to see if it was locked. It wasn't. She pried it open. The wind snatched the phone from her hand, dropping it on the ground. As she scrambled to pick it up, footsteps pounded the stairs. Emily turned and saw the man from the hallway advancing toward her, pulling something from his pocket. Screaming, she shoved the door shut, pressing her ear against the wood. He began banging on the door, then ran down the hall. Emily called out to the kids, trying to calm them as she waited for the police. Moments later, a loud crash echoed from the back of the house. Rushing to the window, Emily saw the back door split in 2. She screamed as a man ran across the lawn, jumping a fence and disappearing into the darkness. Minutes later, the police arrived. They searched the house and found the master bedroom empty, but muddy footprints leading to the attic. There, they discovered signs that someone had been living there for weeks, hiding in the rafters while the family slept. But who, why, and where did they go? The mystery remains unsolved. The woman at the truck stop on October 3rd, 2005. 23-year-old James Reynolds drove his truck from Lubbock, Texas to Wichita Falls for work. On the way back, he stopped at a deserted truck stop between towns for a cup of coffee. It was 12:45 a.m., and the only other customers were an elderly cashier and a trucker sitting in the corner booth. James paid for his coffee and stepped outside to drink it. That's when he saw a young woman in her early 20s standing near the payphone. She was barefoot, her clothes were dirty, her hair unkempt, and she kept glancing over her shoulder as if someone was following her. He walked closer, wanting to help. "Are you okay?" he asked. The woman jumped, startled, and then whispered urgently, "They're going to kill me." Before she could say another word, headlights flashed into darkness and she flinched. A dark SUV pulled up. James watched in disbelief as the woman ran toward him, panic in her eyes. "They're going to kill me," she repeated, glancing back at the approaching car. Two men jumped out, chasing after her. "Please, please help me," she cried, but they were faster. The men grabbed her and dragged her into the SUV as she screamed for help. James ran to the truck stop door and yelled for the man inside to call 911. Then he raced to the payphone to dial emergency himself, but the line was dead. By the time the police arrived, the SUV was gone. James told them everything he'd seen, but they were skeptical. The truck stop cameras weren't working, and no missing person matching her description was ever reported. Desperate for answers, James took matters into his own hands, visiting the truck stop every day for weeks, hoping to find someone who'd seen the woman or the SUV. He even hired a private investigator, but all their efforts turned up nothing. The case went cold and everyone moved on, except James. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees the terror in her face, the dirt on her skin, the desperation in her voice. Who was she? Why were those men chasing her? And most importantly, where did they take her? All these years later, the questions still haunt him. Wondering if she's alive, if she remembers him, and why nobody came looking for her. Number 1. The Eyes in the Woods. In the late 1980s, William and Cheryl Miller moved their 3 kids to a rural farmhouse near Bangor, Maine. It was their dream home, but the locals warned them to keep their children close. Strange things happened at night. Unexplainable noises echoed from the woods. Scratching, whispering, heavy footsteps. The kids shouldn't be out after dark. Despite the warnings, 12-year-old Kevin loved exploring the woods behind their house. One afternoon, he wandered off, while William and Cheryl were fixing up an old barn. When the sun dipped below the tree line, William went into the woods with a flashlight, calling for his son, but all he heard was the rustling of leaves and the snapping of twigs. For hours, he searched, calling out into the darkness, growing more panicked with each passing moment. Finally, he heard a voice. "Dad, over here." He found Kevin huddled by a rock, shaken and covered in scratches. "Where have you been? I've been looking for you for hours," he demanded, relief washing over him as he pulled his son close. Kevin shook his head, burying his face in his father's jacket. "I don't know," he whispered. "It's not safe here, Dad. They're watching us." At first, William thought it was just a wild animal. But that night, Kevin didn't come home before dark. Again, rushing to the woods, William found Kevin sitting on a log, staring into the trees. "You scared me," he said, helping his son to his feet. "What were you doing back there?" Kevin didn't answer. He just pointed at the trees and said, "They're watching us. I saw them again, Dad." Shaking his head, William led his son home. But that night, Kevin didn't sleep. He screamed in his sleep, mumbling, "They're watching." "Not yet." Cheryl and William held each other, wondering if it was a nightmare. But when they woke in the morning, Kevin was gone. The search party found him 2 miles away, kneeling beside a rock monolith. He was talking to someone, but when they approached, there was no one there. Over the years, Kevin's behavior changed. He became withdrawn and anxious, seeing those same eyes peering at him from every window. He never forgot the woods. In 2015, Kevin went on a hiking trip with friends. They said he suddenly stopped, staring at the trees, ignoring their calls. He walked toward the woods and disappeared. They searched for him for hours, finding nothing but a broken hiking stick. To this day, no one knows what happened to Kevin Miller. The eyes in the trees remain a mystery, a haunting reminder of the day their son left and never returned. Now it's time for you to speak. Which one of these stories disturbed you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more true horror, Subscribe and turn on notifications. You never know which story might be next. Thanks for watching.